and welcome everybody to our masterclass. It's great to see you here, and I appreciate each one of you for taking this time out and contemplating about your career, as only the ones that start are going to succeed. That's what we aim to do in this masterclass as well. My name is Monica Khandelwal. I am your host for this session. I'm working with KnowledgeHut for the last 7 years, and I head the cloud category here now. With me, we have Mr. Lokesh Mehra. Lokesh is a senior business lead, and he is into the learner engagement for the entire South Asia for the Amazon Web Services. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, Lokesh.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you everyone once again for joining. Let's begin with this masterclass. I also wanted to bring to your notice that our masterclass is going to be a very engaging one. So whenever you have any questions, I would request you to please post it in the question and answer section so that we are addressing each and every question and none of them goes unanswered. You need not wait for the session to complete in order to get answers. As and when you have any doubt, please post it so that we can immediately get it clarified. All right, so the people who are here with us currently, if you're seeing here, I'm sure you are ready to start your career in the cloud computing or at least thinking about it. So that's why you're here and taking your time here out. And thank you once again for joining us here. Now, before we begin with our session, I wanted to understand how our audience are. I mean, we want to familiarize with our audience a little, as in they are freshers or have few years of experience. So please go ahead and post your question, or I would suggest your answer here. This is a poll that you can see on your screen now. Please fill this for us. Lokesh, I think majority are pretty new to it. So there's a lot of work that is on your head today.
Not a problem. I think it'll be a good engaging session. Whenever.
Yes, absolutely. All right, thank you so much everyone for actively participating in that poll. We will be sharing with you the result a little later. All right, now let's hand over to the Mr. Lokesh is going to take us forward. I'll stop sharing my screen and I would let him go ahead and share his screen and tell you why exactly cloud, why is it an emerging technology, why you should be thinking about your career in this. So over to you, Mr. Lokesh.
Thank you, Monica. And if you can stop sharing, I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. So let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, I guess my screen is visible, Monica.
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Others, please do type in the chat section. Just 1 second here, Lokesh, just to confirm if others can see it too. If you can just post it on the chat.
Or raise your hand.
Or raise your hand so that we would know it. All right, please go ahead, Lokesh. They can see it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Monica. First of all, a warm welcome to everybody who's taken out time and, joined this masterclass. So I'm no master. I'm just your colleague who's also part of the industry. Just to give you a brief background, spent about 3 decades in the IT industry and have worked across the spectrum, with various IT organizations, which include Intel, Cisco, Microsoft, Oracle, Symantec, NASCOM, and now with Amazon. So today our session is very interesting because we need to learn about cloud. I saw from the poll that approximately 70 to 80% are early career talent and the remaining are some experts. So it's good to learn from them too. I'll go ahead and, begin my presentation. So to first of all, start with, I just want to, give you a small snap. And you'll be very surprised to see that this is a picture from the planet Mars. And it was sent to Earth through the internet cloud. So you can imagine, where the cloud has actually reached. In fact, what had happened was NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab basically sent a Mars rover called Perseverance on Feb 18th. It landed after 7 months of its journey and a 300 million mile distance. And on this mission at Mars, what it is going to do is all the photographs and the science and engineering data is going to be sent back to Earth over the cloud, and that is going to get processed, with respect to the servers which are out here. The day Mars landed, there were 1 million hits on the website. So can you imagine if somebody, has so many hits every second on a website? It's similar to what IRCTC, the railway booking counter, does. But because it was based on, a cloud technology, this was easily handled, specifically by the servers. And that is the reason cloud becomes scalable, agile, and reliable. Let's look at, ask you a question. Do you actually use the cloud? Maybe people can give me an answer in the chat if they use the cloud and if they have ever, their knowledge of cloud. So I don't see people typing in the chat. I'm not sure whether it's for me only or. So can the participants type in or give a reaction? Okay, sure. It's in the Q&A. Perfect.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So surely, I think a lot of you have, worked in the cloud or you use the cloud. So let me, talk about some basic instances. Say, for example, if you're listening to music or you're doing gaming, or say, for instance, you take a photograph, say, of the new parliament and you send it to your family or your friends. Somebody is going to download it at the end, receiver side, which could be on WhatsApp or it could be on a machine or it could be anything like that. So actually, you're utilizing the cloud. For example, the best cloud storage for music should have an integrated audio player, support for music metadata, and tools to get all your songs together. For instance, if you want to listen to the top 50 songs in India, you can do that, but it will get shuffled on the cloud itself. So cloud is being extensively used. And what has happened post COVID, you will see that a lot of us spend a lot of time on some device, which could be a screen. It could be your phone, it could be your tab, it could be your desktop, laptop, whatever it is. Approximately 25% of the people still work from home, and a large chunk of it is primarily from the IT and the IT enabled sector. We also receive a large number of calls. We view movies, short reels. We are on social media. We are doing gaming. All these places, what you're seeing on the screen typically is beamed or streamed through the cloud. So it's become very, an integral part of our life. Now, when you're at home, how do you connect to the internet? You'll typically have a router, and from that router, it will go to your provider, which would be, say, BSNL, Jio, or Airtel. And similarly, if you're on the road, you're utilizing your mobile phone. Now, the difference is that at home becomes what is called on-prem. So this portion is called on-prem, specifically this one. And when you're on the road, it is basically something which is not hosted locally. So cloud software is stored and managed at the provider's end, which are on the provider servers, and they're accessed through a web browser, which you can do through your, Chrome or Safari or anything else, or any other interface that you may have. Cloud networking, which is the first part, it covers how connectivity to and among applications is managed and delivered, while cloud computing is concerned about how applications actually run. Now, if you move ahead, you will see that the cloud is used across all domains, all spectrums. Let's look at a couple of them. For example, startups. Now, startups today need to be able to make good data decisions. While IT may not be their immediate, I would say, priority area, because they have to raise, a lot of fundings or they need to get their act together. But the cloud can help improve efficiency and productivity. So what most of the startups will do is that they'll outsource most of the part, which is to ensure that they focus on their core competency, and which is their inter business, while the other aspects can be managed by the cloud. And what do I mean by other aspect? Other aspects could include, example, hosting my website itself, or my HR system, or it could be a online collaboration, like right now we are on the Zoom. Let's look at the research organizations. Even in the research organization, you will see that there's a lot of research and collaboration which happens where you need to share data from multiple locations, and you need to gain access to these public data sets. For instance, I may want to figure out what is the entire range of people who are below poverty line, or I may want to do research especially on genomics, which is there. Now if I want to do genomics or DNA kind of sequences, I need to store or filter through 100 gigabytes of data. It's not possible to do it on a physical premise, and the time that it will take to analyze these files is going to be mind boggling. So what you do is you do it over the cloud, and this would help specifically in terms of utilizing tools. For instance, like you may have a cloud aligner or a cloud burst, which will allow the research teams to take that load off their own infrastructure and split it across the backend servers. A very interesting aspect which the Ministry of Education has done, and I would encourage all of you to look it up, is called vlab.co.in. It is a virtual lab where you can do experiments and research. So that's another interesting part. Let's look at non-profits. Now, what do non-profits or NGOs do? NGOs typically, their whole focus is on crowdfunding and raising funds so that they can be more productive. But what happens is at the back end, similar to startups, they would have issues where they would specifically look at focusing more in terms of how do I get the data, how do, if somebody has volunteered once, can I get his personalized information and target him again. And with that, I need not be worried about PII, which is called personal identifiable information, because over the cloud, the data is encrypted. Also, a very big point in non-profits is with respect to the carbon footprint. Now, with cloud, naturally, the non-profits are going to reduce the carbon footprint. Let's come to the government. All of you may be aware of the CoWIN app. In fact, CoWIN is based on the AWS platform. And CoWIN scales in seconds to handle user registrations and supports about 10 million vaccinations daily at that peak time when. So currently, the government has gone in for something called Meghraj, which is a cloud computing initiative of the government. And it focuses on delivery of e-services to the citizen while optimizing ICT. I'm not going to talk about enterprises. I will take a further examples out there, which will elucidate how enterprises are utilizing cloud. But I think you get a fair idea of every spectrum utilizing cloud today. So what actually is the cloud? And a lot of you will say, what a stupid question to ask. But cloud, in simple terms, it refers to the on-demand delivery of services over the internet, and you will go pay as you go. That is, it's like an electric switch at home. When you switch it on, that's only when you pay. When you switch it off, you're not going to pay for it while the data resides out there. So that is the biggest advantage, which you have specifically of cloud. Again, this is something to tell you or share with you an example how on-premise works and how on the internet it works. Simple example: if I am a university at the time of admissions, I may have thousands of people coming and hitting my server. Now I can't keep on adding physical servers every time. If I have a cloud, I can add that server during the admission time or exam time, and then I can remove that server afterwards once the admission cycle is over. So the cloud becomes very, very integral or important at that period of time. I would encourage you to go ahead and scan this using your mobile or QR code. This QR code talks in general about what is cloud computing. So this becomes a very important part for you. So I think somebody has asked a question about the next AWS certifications. I am going to be covering that. I will talk about it. And Harish, you have also talked about the future in cloud computing. I'm going to answer these questions. Just hang on to your guns around that. Yeah. Now, if we move further, I just want to talk about, what Amazon Web Services does. So Amazon Web Services, as I indicated, is like any cloud provider. Whatever you want to do on a physical premise is now possible over the internet, and you can run it reliably, confidentially, and securely. So your infrastructure, your databases, your storage, all can happen over the cloud. Just to, explain to you how it happens over the cloud, let me give you a small example. In any cloud infrastructure, you would generally have, three hierarchies. You will have a region at the top. In that region, you would have availability zones. These are typical locations which are differentiated by some distance. One region would generally have 2 to 3 availability zones, and these are backups, or you could have, to cover redundancy, you could also have mirror images around those. To prevent disaster management. And then at the last edge, you would have what are called as edge locations, or they're also called point of presence. Let me take an example for you to elucidate. Today, the World Cup match is happening in England, and we also get to view it in India. Now, how do you figure out that there is no latency between when, Rohit Sharma is batting? There is no difference in terms of, the second delay in what the match is happening here or at any other location. The biggest advantage that you have specifically is that there are what are called as point of presence. Now, these point of presence ensure that there is a copy of that entire image at, say, the Bombay server. So if I am trying to see that match, say from, Bhilai, or say from Bombay, or from anywhere else, the latency is going to be extremely, extremely low. So you would not see any lag, in the image which is going to happen. I'll just, pause out here and ask a small question based on what I had just explained. So if you could let me know your answers, it'll be really appreciated. So if you could let me know from a hierarchy perspective, what comes on the top? Is it a region? Is it an availability zone? Or is it a cloud front?
So everyone, you can see this quiz 1. Please do answer this.
So till now, I have got, equal responses. Okay, now we are getting some more traction. So 10 people have responded as of now out of the 20 odd who are participating within the quiz. So yes, most of you are right. It is the region which is at the top, and then you have the availability zones, and then you have what are called the point of presence or the edge locations. So region is the heading which you would see, and if I go back, you will see that in the region. Let me go back. AWS has about 31 regions, which are spread across multiple countries. So the region acts as the primary prerogative in terms of the hierarchy. So let's move ahead. So cloud typically is split into 3 parts, what we know as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Now, what does it do? The infrastructure as a service is a very basic, uh, aspect, which is the bare layer. On that, you have what is called a hypervisor layer, on which, any customer can provision virtual machines. And you would, to give you an example, AWS is an IaaS service, Azure is an IaaS service, Google Compute is an IaaS service. The PaaS comes to the middleware. Now, in a middleware, you'll typically have a middleware environment which would have your database, your infrastructure side, which would be your servers, your storage, your hardware. You would also have the platform, which could be your database management systems, your developer tools. So, for example, if you're developing some applications, that would come onto that. So, in fact, very surprising, if I ask you a question, is Facebook a SaaS or a PaaS or an IaaS? The answer is Facebook is also considered to a platform as a service, because developers can create specific applications for the Facebook platform, and using proper AI APIs, they can make that application available to any easily to the Facebook user. That brings us to the third platform, which is called software as a service. So the Hotmails, the Gmails, what you use, it is basically running an application, and customers can only monitor their own users, so the data and the configuration and during that application space. You can't see the cloud environment in a SaaS service. So CRMs, Slack, Office 365, these are all the SaaS environments. So why has cloud become so important? So cloud, if you look at it, you don't need to install anything. There is no worry of any virus coming in. You don't need to be bothered that I need to now update that version. And it is like an electricity that you will pay only when you use it, or when you're going to sustain it for a longer period. So that's the reason cloud is becoming more and more critical. And the quote at the bottom indicates where Gartner has said that majority of the enterprises are going to be now on cloud rather than cloud first. Let me explain it with a simple example in layman terms of pizza as a service. So when you're going to eat the pizza at home and you are going to create everything at home, then it is called on-prem. We call it in our lingo on-premise or on-prem. So all the elements what you see out here, right from your dining table, say you're going to have a Coke or a Fanta with it, you're going to bake the pizza, you need an oven for it, you have all your tomato toppings, cheese, etc. Everything is on-premise. In infrastructure as a service, what you're getting is only the portions which the vendor is going to provide, rest all you are providing. In platform as a service, you just have the platform which is available, rest all the vendor provides. And finally, software as a service, you're ordering from say Pizza Hut or Domino's, etc. when the pizza comes home. Now you may say that I'm having it on my dining table, but I think you get the crux of what I'm talking to you. Now, let me jump to the portion where a lot of the questions were coming also in terms of, where cloud is going to become important. If you look at this study, which has been recently carried out, you will see that there has been a significant digital, gap in the Asia Pacific region, especially after COVID. And this has got amplified because, there's been a rapid growth of digitization by majority of the enterprises because they wanted to ensure business continuity and resilience. So the number of workers which are there, it's going to be projected at a very high rate in terms of people who want, digital skills. Now, how do you define digital skills? These are some of the 9, parameters on which the digital skills were decided. And this is an alpha beta report, which has been clearly carried out. You will see cloud computing competencies also coming in, at a fourth level. You will also see other things. Now, the dilemma that what India faces is, while basic digital skills everybody knows, which is Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and some browsing and surfing, you're not having adept people in terms of emerging technologies, and that's where the dilemma lies. So, what some other reports have also indicated, for example, this is another report of Alpha Beta. It says that cloud is becoming so important today. If you look at the top in-demand skills by 2025, out of the 5 skills, cloud is prevalent almost in everything. It has become a horizontal now. You need to do, SaaS tools. You need to, in cybersecurity, everything right from encryption to hacking to everything is going on the cloud. AI, ML anyway runs on the cloud. And then you need people who can design applications. For example, if I'm a bank, I'm setting up a new branch, I need to design that cloud architecture. But the issue what we are facing is that the number of people in India who can manage it only locally as well as internationally are very, very low. You're all aware of aging economies, especially Europe, Japan, etc., where almost the population age is now declining to about 60 years. And they don't have the youth power that we do. So if people are trained on emerging tech, they can actually migrate out there, or they can go for specific projects out there. Now, let me talk about who are the top 3 players in cloud. So if you look at the top 3 players in cloud, you would see that AWS is ruling the roost, and then it is followed by the other competitors, as you can see. But the interesting part, what you need to see is just infrastructure, services alone in India is going to result in about $63 billion. That's the kind of business we're talking about, which is going to happen on cloud. Another interesting element that I want to share with you is the lack of people who can manage and support cloud. So in March 2021, there were only about 6 lakh people who were aware of cloud. And this shortfall is going to grow in the next 4 years to almost about 1450. So the gap which is going to exist is going to be about 770K. And this talent is growing by almost about 26%. So you can imagine that the gap for cloud is growing phenomenally. If you get trained in cloud and it becomes a horizontal, you are way ahead of your peers. Now, most of the people, and this is again a study which has been carried out by Gallup, say that 83% are finding it very, very difficult of the companies. 83% of the companies are finding it difficult to have the right digital skills. And I had shown you in the previous slides what those digital skills imply. Now, another point that I want to put forth is that the role today, what you were aware of IT, say people who have been in the industry from, say, year Y2K, at that period of time, IT was more looked at more from as a plumber of the internet. You were at the backside, you were doing everything. But today now IT has become a critical element which is on the boardroom. And if you're looking at jobs which are there, which could help you, grow your efficiency, productivity, you will see that people asking for cloud professionals, and especially AWS, has grown by 600% right in this year. This is despite the pandemic, despite the economic recession, people are still asking for cloud. And how can I be so confident indicating that? If you just look at any job portal, just look at the number of jobs on cloud. We're talking anywhere between 50,000 jobs. And if you look at freshers, we are talking anywhere about 200 to 500 jobs at any given period of day. And all these people are asking for cloud professionals. It could be from support, maintenance, and I'll talk about the cloud profiles which are there going down the line. So I want you to digest this, that cloud professionals are there. The interesting part is you don't need to have coding experience to get into cloud, because cloud could be from a support side, from a maintenance side. And today, nowadays, you are aware that a no coding cloud with AI ML has also become very important. So you don't need to know coding, you just need to know basic infrastructure and details and some bit of networking. So let me move ahead and quickly run this poll for you. So I would request I had just talked about this. If you can get answers to this poll, Monica, if you can run the poll.
Yes, doing it right away, Lokesh.
So if you could answer what are the shortfall of cloud professionals, that'll be great, so that you're aware of the kind of cloud professionals required. Yes, majority of you are on the right track. It is about so it's a mix now. Okay, very interesting. But let me tell you, the right answer is 769K. That is the gap which we are talking about. And we are not talking about the number of professionals required, which is 2218, because there's already existing professionals in the system. And the gap is going to be about 769K. So just keep that in mind, so that you're aware of how cloud is going to become very, very important. Now, what is the utility of cloud? So you can see that overall cloud has become an integral part of any industry. Business operations are getting improved, sophisticated. Now you can do demand planning and forecasting. automation is making supply chain more efficient. Now you are aware that if a package is going to come to you over the cloud or via an SMS, you'll get information. Your package is going to get delivered by this provider at this period of time. And using AI, you can predict services and sources of revenue to optimize your sales efforts. And it would improve your EBIT by a very high percentage. And AI ML is also helping companies make better and faster decisions. Let me take an example of healthcare. We are seeing a shift from reactive to uh, predictive care, because predictive models can accelerate how research is done and how discovery of new drugs and treatments, the regimen can be taken. If a nurse is supported by AI tools, just imagine the kind of productivity you'll see in the hospitals. AI is also helping the companies focus on their core competency to create new products, services, business models. They can gain competitive advantages and innovate in that entire process. So if you look at, examples, for example, let me talk about Airbnb. I think all of you would have heard about Airbnb. So Airbnb just started, about 15 to 20 years back. And they started off with a group of people who were approached by a couple of guests and said that, can we rent your cottage? Now, these people, how they did it was they sent their photographs. The other person seemed interested. They said, okay, it seems good. Let me go over and, come and rent it out. Just imagine today, we are talking, in 2023, 24, the number of Airbnb is present in over 220 countries. Can you imagine the number of photographs which are going left and right, where the owner of that residence and the purchaser for that time frame is, looking at the photographs, they're giving the reviews, they're trying and, working out whether it works for them or not. All this happens over the cloud. So if you look at the kind of services which Amazon is using, Airbnb is using something called elastic load balancing. It automatically distributes the incoming traffic between the various instances which is happening. And they are analyzing almost 50 gigabytes of data daily. So they use something called elastic map reduce, which is called EMR also. They're also using something called simple storage service. Now, simple storage services, when I load a photograph, I can plug in a photograph and keep that. So I don't have to repeat uploading the photograph of a particular property every time. I can call it when and all it is required. So Airbnb uses CloudWatch, which is another service which allows the company to supervise all its assets through the console and through a web service API. And the database is again specifically on the relational database RDS service. So that's a very interesting scenario, which may be there. Now, the next example I want to give to you, all of you would have taken some kind of online exam. In an online exam, what happens is that, you would have people who may have given a photograph, which is this, and you may have people who are actually live on video, like I am live on video right now. How do you figure out whether the person who's speaking and the person who's giving, or the person who's given the photograph is the same or not? So there is a service, for example, called Amazon Recognition. What it does is it will check whether the individual is same or not. For example, in this particular case, her hair is somewhere longer in the photograph, while the live video is slightly different. Also, you might see that one eye is tweaked, and it could be twins also. So if they're taking an exam, how do I get to know whether it is the same twin taking the exam or not? So it says that the similarity is almost about 96%. So what this service does is it will identify whether the individual is same, whether there's any multiple test takers during an online exam, if there is a hand coming in, or there is a smartphone coming in, or if there is a book getting opened, or there is a paper rustling on sound. All this service can particularly capture, and it can prevent any malpractice, etc., which is happening. So it's a very critical element, in terms of the services which happen, and this is all using AI and ML. So I've just given you two examples what the enterprise team is doing. Now, let us come to an important part. There was a question also, which was, somebody had talked about the fact that they have done some basic cloud training. what are the kind of jobs what they can get into. So you will see different, options which are available. If you're interested in software development, then the recommended pathway what you can do is go towards an application developer. If you are just going to be doing the infrastructure and maintenance, then it is important to look at the support side. If you want to get into web development, front end, back end, this is another area that you can evaluate. There are other pathways also which you can do. This is specifically if you're building APIs, then you go into the developer options. And then the last part is where you actually love coding and you want to use, all the typical tools which are there, right from Java, C++, JavaScript, Ruby, etc., which are there. So you have different pathways which you can undertake. And then the kind of profiles which are available are mentioned on the right side. To give you a total kind of big picture, you can look at the job families which I have talked about here. So you can see that a lot of them get into software development, a lot of them get into testing, some then move into analytics, which would use AI ML. You can also move into security, networking, and hardcore operations, for example, data centers. So these are the kind of profiles. And cloud is not just alone in terms of just doing cloud development or cloud security or support. Cloud encompasses all these profiles, and all the elements that you require are mentioned on the right hand side. Now, there was a recent study which is as recent. This was carried out, in fact, on May 3rd. This came out on the Economic Times, and they indicated that people are still preferring to go in the IT/ITS sector. Everybody thought IT/ITS sector is dying down, but that is not true. So I would still recommend that if you're learning about cloud, while IT/ITS sector rules the roost, but there are several other places also where you can go where cloud is being extensively leveraged and utilized. Now, this study, which was carried out by ESG Group, talks about the profiles. So a lot of you, which I saw from the initial poll that was carried out by my colleague out here, she saw that the poll indicated all of you have between 0 to 10 years of experience. There were a couple of experts. So today, entry level, which is more about 0 to 5 years, then the mid tiers would come about cloud proficient, and then the experts would fall in that. But the focus that I want to indicate is that cloud is going to continue to grow even in the entry level side. You will see that people with cloud technologies, even 24 months from now, is going to continue on an extensive basis. So, and the experts, they are going to be going on increasing. So you should look at cloud as a very good option to build your competency and proficiency in. This is another, CII report, which was carried out just very recently in the last month. And they have indicated that the number of fresher hiring, because I'm talking about freshers because again, we had a large number of entry-level career talent. Look at the profiles where they're looking at hiring. So BFSI has seen a dip, but most of the other places, it is almost equal. So you can go into any sector. It could be IT, it could be e-commerce, which is the internet business. It could be, hardcore ancillary and manufacturing industry. The GCCs, or what we call as the GICs, your banks, for example, HSBC, Morgan Chase, JP Morgan, Chase, all those kind of elements. These people hire big time. The auto industry, now everyone is going on EV. For EV, they require cloud extensively. Even pharmaceutical, where DNA mapping, etc., new drugs are getting created, is the play where you can extensively get into hiring. Somebody asked that I have done a basic cloud practitioner. What are the kind of certifications that I can go into? So this is your roadmap, what you can do. So you start with the basic cloud foundation. After that, you can move into 3 different associate level certification. It's not mandatory that you do the cloud practitioner. You can directly jump also into any one of these 3. A developer is more involved in terms of software developer, API, coding, etc. Architect is the most popular, where, say, for example, I am a bank, I'm an ICICI bank, I'm setting up a new branch. I need to do the blueprint of the new bank. Now, will the bank manager of the first branch give the same rights to the branch manager of the second new branch which is getting opened? What about the accountant? What about the other teller, etc.? All that, you don't require any coding. You need to have the common sense and algorithm in terms of what the blueprint should carry. So that's where the architects, and this has become one of the most popular, certifications which are there. System ops and administrator is more toward the data entry, data centers, and the networking side. So if a new user comes in, how do you create the user? How do you give them, privilege rights, etc.? All that comes out there. Then you move on to the professionals, which are, more advanced levels. And then you have this specialty. Machine learning is becoming very, very important. People who deal with data, especially, for example, now the government is coming up with a new government privacy law. Databases become very critical. And then networking, again, is always there. Data analytics, again, is a critical element. Cybersecurity, due to encryption, hacking, etc., based on your interest, you can move into any of these three roles. Okay, I will move now to the next. So let me talk about this particular exam, because this is one of the critical exams. This exam is called the AWS Cloud Architecting Associate level. What it has is, you can see that it is almost about 2 hours. There are 65 questions. And the interesting part is 15 of these questions are unscored. What do you mean by unscored? In the sense, they're questions just put in so that they are checking whether these questions become popular or not, and can they add them in the next exam revisions that they do. The passing score for the foundation score is 700. For the architect or the associate level, it is 720. And the scores can come between anywhere between 0 to 1000. Here is an exam guide that you can do. I'll just give you the QR code. So if you scan this QR code, you can actually get the sample questions also, and you can get details about this exam too. Now, why should you do certification? Because certification is the benchmark today, which would help you and get validated by the industry professionals. And today, if you are certified, nobody asks too many questions. So the major advantage that you have is, if you're certified, then you're bound to know some basic concepts. Okay. So I think that is very important for you to look at. And as I said, this is one of the most popular certifications that you should evaluate. Let me move to the next question, which is a poll. And can I request you to ask this question on the poll?
Absolutely, Lokesh. Doing it right away.
So if you can answer your question, which I said. Okay, most of the people are on the right track. Yes, architecting is the most popular course, and there is a specific reason to it, because it does not require much of coding. It's basically, knowing a bit of networking, a bit of IT, and you can easily crack this exam. It just needs a bit of patience to go ahead and, take this particular. So if you prepare well, you can actually go ahead and, crack this exam. I think we are running short of time, so I'll move a bit fast. I just have a couple of slides. So these are some people who are regularly hiring, from AWS trained and certified people. So you can see the GSIs, global system integrators, which include, what we call as the Twitch companies, Tata, Wipro, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, HCL, etc. The consulting companies, the SMBs, the BFSIs, the platform companies, all of them regularly hire from, who are AWS certified. So as a next step, what you ought to do specifically is that you need to, attend the training, which is very, very important, because you'll get the hands-on practice from there. Attend any webinars like these and the sessions that, KnowledgeHut is undertaking. I would sincerely recommend that you get certified. And not only you will contribute to India's digital economy, but I'm sure with those cloud qualifications, you can go anywhere across the world. So I'll stop, talking right now and pass it on to my colleague, Monica. Monica, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lokesh. This information, everything that you have shared with us is very, very informative. And if everyone agrees with me, I would request you to please say a yes, because I'm sure it was very informative and I got to know a lot from what Lokesh has given us insights on. So please do tell us so that even we understand you're there with us. All right, so we have all the answers. Now let's move on. Let's talk about now how just Lokesh just pointed out that how cloud has a lot of demand in the market. You need someone to train you on it, because just knowing that, yes, there is demand, there are businesses moving to cloud. Whom do you go ahead and take as your training partner who can help you scale that exam in the first attempt? Also, like Lokesh pointed out, that solutions architect, AWS solutions architect associate is one of the most in demand, and that is the certification which someone with even no coding experience can go ahead for. So this is the certification which I would recommend all of us who, everyone who has joined our call today to go ahead for, as this is the one which is not of a basic level. And again, it will help you get into the job. Now, let me talk about where KnowledgeHut is going to help you to get into that certification. With KnowledgeHut, if you go ahead, we are basically, as you know, KnowledgeHut Upgrad is an 11-year-old company. We go ahead and hire instructors who have the best of experience in the market. These are the instructors, and the content, in fact, if you go ahead and have a check on, the content is the best. Why do I say that? Because Amazon, we are the training partners with Amazon Web Services. You can see that in Amazon do not tie up with any company like that. So the content is the best in the market. We hire the best of the instructors to train you on these concepts. Not just that, you would see that we as a company, we preach and believe in learning by doing. What do I mean by that again? We go ahead and provide you a lot of quizzes at the end of each chapter. We would be providing you assessments to work upon, because as even Lokesh took us there, in order to become an architect, in order to become a developer, anything that you want to do, it's important for you to understand the concept. And that is only possible if you go ahead and do it by yourself. That's why a lot of assessments and assignments are part of it. We give you a lot of mock calls to practice. So this is how your path would be. Learn with us, master the skills, get ready for the examination by attending a lot of mock calls, and at the end you can go ahead and take up the AWS exam and be certified and get your dream job. Next, moving on, again, like I just pointed out, that where do we come into picture? It is not just that we have experts who are training you the concept. The curriculum, as you see, has been designed by experts in the market. It is what Amazon wants you to learn. We provide you 300 different practical questions. As you can also see that there are simulations. Now, as you all know, the word simulation itself means that how you can expect the questions in the exam. Like just Lokesh pointed out that there would be 65 questions, 50 of them are scored and the remaining unscored. So we give you the similar kind of exposure, because the more you practice on, you will be able to crack that exam in the first attempt. And that is what we aim to do it here. Next, moving on, so I am sure all of you here who is attending this session is motivated to crack that exam in the first attempt. If yes, please enroll into our program. And I have something to add here. If you are going to go ahead and enroll with us today, there are certain scholarships that we will be providing, and I will share that information with you very shortly. So please bear with us for some more minutes. Now, moving on. Our program is one of the most outcome-focused program. With outcome focus, I mean that we not just train you the concept, we not just make you work on it and clear the exam. We are there to help you even find a job, because we provide job assistance. That is part of this curriculum. We have a network of alumni. We have a network of enterprise partners. We go ahead, forward your resumes to them, market your profile, even in fact, help you in resume makeover. You can just take us like we are your teacher, your guide, and your mentor. That's what we aim to do throughout this journey. We are there, one-stop journey. That's what we want to do. All the questions would be answered. Every guidance that you need in order to get that certification, every guidance that you need in order to get that job, we are here to help you. Moving on, this is what I was just talking to about, that we have Till date, because KnowledgeHut is already an 11-year-old organization, 450,000 alumni. We also have tie-up with 4,500 enterprise partners over 100 plus countries. That's where we aim. So with an alumni forum as fast as this is where you would be able to get into the job as well, not just certification. Till date, all the courses that we provide, because I'm sure the people, you would be aware, KnowledgeHut does not train you on cloud. We have courses, even, other courses, for example, Certified Scrum Master, Data Science. So we scale in 400 plus courses across the globe. And in that, we have maintained an average of 95% success rate. Not just that, if you see here, our alumni was able to get the highest paid package of $500,000. I think that is an exciting enough number for you to go ahead and get into this. This is one thing that we would want to highlight or get to your notice with a lot of pride. We want to let you know that KnowledgeHut is one of the fewer edtech that is provided or is allowed with IBF, which is the International Banking Facility, and UTAF subsidies and support from the government of Singapore. This means that Singapore government has actually vetted the curriculum that we provide, and they have rated us good to provide it to us, to their citizen. And KnowledgeHut is one of the companies. There are very few companies in the world who has actually got something like this, and KnowledgeHut is on top of that. So I think you would also be happy to be associated with an organization that has got a government body backing them up. You can also see that our curriculum has been vetted by the professors, best of the professors in these universities. In fact, the curriculum is so strong, updated, and the best of it in the market that few of the instructors from these universities even share it with their students to go ahead and learn. For example, the cloud architect that you're going to be learning it from us has been shared with people across the globe to study from. These are the enterprise partners that we have, because the curriculum that we are talking to you about, not just for cloud, all the other courses, either they go ahead, these different companies that are there, they either teach these curriculum to their employees, or they hire KnowledgeHut to go ahead and train their employees on these specific domains. Now, this is one of the differentiators that I would definitely want to take a minute or so. PRISM is basically our advanced, immersive, hands-on AI-based learning platform. This is our in-house platform wherein you get to feature or you get to work upon cloud labs. You get to practice on these labs without even having any additional software. In the same browser, you'll be able to access it. You get access to this particular tool or PRISM for lifetime. So once you get associated with us, you would have access to this PRISM. Let's say you are already AWS solution certified. You have completed your certification, everything is over. But you want to go back once you want to practice on some domains. Have I not missed out on my skills? Am I still good enough? If you want to do anything like that, you can anytime access our tool, because you would have access to it for a lifetime. I would even show you a demo of it once. But before that, let's proceed on to a few more information that I have to share. This is one of the very important feature. In fact, I'm sure even Lokesh would be aware about it. Mr. Kingston Jebraj, he is one of the most renowned name when it comes to AWS, or I should say cloud domain, because he's a person who has scored 987 out of 1,000. If you have gone through Lokesh's instruction, you would have noticed 720 is the passing mark. This guy had scored 987, and he's not just good at his own knowledge, he's also good at training learners, because till date, he has taught 1030 learners who have passed into the AWS exams. So the curriculum that you are going to be learning from has been designed and curated by experts like Kingston Jebraj, who has amazing credentials, as you can just see it here. In fact, I would suggest you, if you want to do a little more research, why not Google him a little? You would be able to see his LinkedIn profile and more information about him.
So there's one question which is very interesting, because we have got a couple of questions that is this program beneficial only to young graduates and not for senior age persons? So let me indicate the IT industry and even a large number of, BFSI, pharmaceutical, automobile is agnostic to age as of now if you're cloud proficient. So the program would be actually helpful, and believe me, it's a very big deal what you're getting, because if you go and try and do this in the open market, the cost is extremely high. Monica and the team and Sandhya are giving you an extremely beneficial package. And look at the experts involved, look at the content involved. It's very beneficial. So it's not confined to young people. Even people who are transitioning from any other sector side like HR, etc., who may not have any experience, can move into cloud. And as I had said earlier, especially if you're moving to the architecting side, it does not require coding to the extent that you imagine. So nowadays, no coding AI/ML is very useful. You can also move into cybersecurity, which does not require so much of coding. Yes, common sense and business ethics are anyway part of every job.
Got it. Graduates. There's one more question, Lokesh, if you would like to take it up.
Where we create to learn the skill about is, I assume the question is, where can we learn about skilling on this particular topic? I think Monica has already covered that. Or I have not understood the question. I don't understand the grammar of that question.
I'll answer it separately in chat.
Yeah. So moral of the story is that, I would recommend, look, there's only one thing: learn, unlearn, relearn. And that's the norm if you want to survive. So if you're not willing to learn even at this age, believe me, I gave the cloud practitioner certification after almost 30 years of passing my engineering, and I was able to do it. So it's not tough at all. So I would recommend that anybody interested in cloud, just get into it. And I'm not from a cloud background. I'm from a sales background, so it's a very different scenario. But surely any person can get into it and they can move into the stream. So if you have a certification, believe me, if you go to the any developing country, you can easily get a good job as long as you can show proficiency in that subject.
That's amazing, Lokesh. So there's no age criteria. There are no studies. I mean, if someone is only from a bachelor's background, they can take it up. So I think there's nothing like that when you're going ahead for an AWS Solutions Architect certification. So I would strongly recommend all our audiences here that with all this clarity and insights, go ahead and register into the program, because it's better now than never. Now that you have the entire clarity, now that you know whom to reach out to, because only if you register with KnowledgeHut Upgrad, you get all the features of learning from AWS experts. Because when we are vouching for your skills, we have to make sure that the instructors that we go ahead and hire to teach you, they have to know the domain inside out. So that is the promise that we give. And that is why when we vouch for your job assistance, the companies that we are reaching out to you to help you get a job, they see that yes, KnowledgeHut has provided all the skills that is required for you to get to that job. And that is why we are here. As you can see in the chat, the link to our website is available with the coupon code. I would like to re-quote it once again. Only for those who would be registering today, you would be getting the AWS Solutions Architect training at 15,000 rupees, and people who are outside India, the price would be $459 US. These prices are exclusive for today, because if you go to our website, you can see that the prices of the next batches are again $1,800 US. So I'm sure you would not want to miss out on opportunity like this. So if there are still any other questions, I would request you that if you still, since we are running out of time, so we are going to call it a day. But if you still have a question, you can reach out to us at reach us. I'll just show it with you and share it in the chat as well. You can reach us at knowledgehut.com.
So Monica, somebody has asked a question about class timings and duration. I am assuming you'll answer that.
Yes, Mitlesh. So we have the class that is starting on the 10th of June. I'll share with you the complete details about the same. Or in fact, I will just show you the details here, if you allow me a second. Just give me a second here, please. Is my screen visible to all? Thank you, Rakesh, for confirming. All right, this is also something that I just want to highlight. This is the PRISM tool that I was talking to you about. This is our in-house advanced learning tool. If you see, this is how the curriculum would look like. We have a proper study plan. It is not just that, okay, the content is there. It's in order. You have to first, we would be recapitulating on all the concepts of AWS fundamentals. Then we go it in the order that is networking, ECS. Now that I do not have access to it, so I'm not going to be clicking onto the video, but I'm just giving you a glimpse of how it looks like. Next, I would also want to show you that how exactly our website looks. So this is what I was talking to you about. If you are in India currently, the batch starting on the 10th of June, the timings are here. Mitlesh, if I could answer your question, let me know if there's anything else. So it would be 6:30 p.m. as per the Indian Standard Time till 10:30 p.m. And for people outside India, this is the time for the batch. That is going to be 9 a.m. in the morning till 1 p.m. in the afternoon, as per the Indian Standard Time. Starts on the 9th and end on the 18th. We also have the options of weekdays and weekends. So if in case these timings are not suitable, then you can even go ahead and register into the next upcoming batch, because we do have classes on Monday to Friday as well. But like I just said, the price is a concern. If you want to go ahead and get the scholarship, then please go ahead for our 10th June batch.
Monica, there are some more questions from the same individual. I think we can jump off. You can answer those questions.
Sure, Lokesh. Yeah, we can do that. Thank you so much for your time once again, Lokesh. All the information shared by you, I think it is like something of someone who is completely new to the domain to layman. I think people like me as well could understand it clearly. So thank you so much for those insights.
Thank you very much and best of luck for your career, students. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you, Sandhya. Bye.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.